Near the home where I grew up, there's an oak tree on top of a hill, and it's next to the motorway. So if you'd had a long day at work or maybe a rough drive through the night to get back from somewhere, the moment you saw that oak tree on top of the hill, you were nearly back in your own bed, and it was a wonderful feeling. I'm happy to be with you today after the most tumultuous road to WrestleMania that you and I have ever known and hope to ever know again. I am happy to be with you today and say that from where we are right now, I can see the oak tree on top of the hill. This is Raw Graded. We start with an Undertaker promo, but this isn't a Phenom Undertaker promo. No. This is very much Biker Taker territory. He starts calling AJ Styles Alan, since they're making it personal. He talks about how AJ was a big fish in a little pond when The Undertaker and Mick Foley and co were ruling the roost. He then blurts out, "Phenomenal my ass." I don't think it was meant to make me laugh, but it did. He talks about his wife, Michelle McCool, talks about how AJ is upset that the Faith Breaker got the Styles Clash over more than he ever could. Drops a couple of lines in here that very much make me feel like we're going to get Biker Taker this weekend at WrestleMania. He tells AJ Styles he's going to make him famous. That's an old Undertaker line, that is, before telling him that in the Boneyard match, he will rest in peace. Pan out to reveal a tombstone with AJ Styles written on it, his birth date and his death year of 2020. Oh, A+. What a start to Raw this week. Undertaker just nailed this, and I'm really excited to see some Biker Taker action in the Boneyard match. It's nice. It's not quite the Undertaker Biker Taker that we were hoping to get. Granted, I wanted a nice long motorcycle run down Raymond James, but be that as it may, we're getting what we're getting. I think we're getting Biker Taker this weekend, and I am ready for it. This was great promo work by The Undertaker. Becky Lynch arrives at the Performance Center in that big old custom truck of hers. I guess they're getting as much use out of it as they possibly can. Becky Lynch walks out onto the ramp and she introduces the triple threat match from last year's WrestleMania, pitting Ronda Rousey against Charlotte Flair against Becky Lynch. So we watched that in its entirety. Very good. After we watched the triple threat match, Becky Lynch is still stood on the ramp. I'd like to think she went and put some money in the parking meter while that match was playing. And she says that she knows Shayna Baszler has demons, and says that Shayna wants to get out of the shadow of Ronda Rousey and needs the win at WrestleMania more than Becky does, arguably. From this, Shayna Baszler appears out of the shadow of Becky Lynch. Kirifu a clutch, smacks her head against the announce table, picks her up in a powerbomb position and just swings her head into the side of the table, very much like she did to Liv Morgan at Elimination Chamber. Just clatters Becky Lynch on the side of the table. A lot of uncomfortable silence as Shayna Baszler stands over Becky Lynch as she holds her head and groans in pain. This was a cool bit. Giving this an A. Whilst it's always good to see the triple threat match, I'm kind of basing it on the promo work that Becky did, which I thought was phenomenal. Great final segment for Shayna and Becky. Shayna just continues just to look like a beast. Pretty sure that she's still taking it at WrestleMania. I think Shayna is going to surprise the world and beat Becky very quickly. But we'll talk about that in another video. Aleister Black is in action now against Jason Cade. Enhancement Boy gets quite a bit more in than most others have, but still eats a black mass. 1, 2, 3, and we are done. B-, right? Because there's something special about these showcase matches for Aleister Black. Just the use of silence and the use of the eerie persona of Aleister Black coupled with the current empty arena era that we are living in. I think they both work really well. Lashley and Black is going to be an interesting offer on the weekend, is it not? I have no idea how that's going to work. Well, I do, they're going to wrestle, but how well they're going to wrestle, I just don't know. 6-man tag team action now, and it is the Street Profits teaming with Kevin Owens to take on Seth Rollins, Angel Garza, and replacing Andrade, Austin Theory. Zelina Vega announces that Andrade is injured and she has a new client in her stable. She's found the hottest free agent from NXT, and out comes Austin Theory. This is a great opportunity for Theory. I am so high on the work that Theory is doing on NXT, and to see him on Monday Night Raw, despite all that's going on in the world, it's that old adage, isn't it? Where there's chaos, there's opportunity. And this is a shining moment for Austin Theory. He gets battered in the first couple of minutes of this match, though. Seems to take moves off everybody. Montez Ford hits a beauty of a tope to the outside. Somersault plancha style, just wipes out. And it was just beautiful. We cut back from the break, and Montez Ford's getting a kick in until he makes the tag to Dawkins. Dawkins runs wild, seemingly forever. He gets stopped in his tracks by Seth Rollins. Kevin Owens is champing at the bit to get a piece of Rollins on the outside of the ring. He even calls him the B word. Oh, doing a swear on Raw? What are you thinking? Rollins, however, wants nothing to do with Kev. We see this when Dawkins makes the hot tag to Kevin Owens and Rollins runs out like he's a cat on fire, tags Angel Garza, and Garza just takes the shoeing from Owens instead. Moments after the tag is made, everybody's piling in, and Montez Ford does another somersault plancha to the outside. Oh, this was awful, right? So he dives out. I think he was meant to hit Theory, Austin Theory on the outside, but either Theory moved or he missed completely. Either way, Ford just smashes the stage. And because we are in this empty performance center, the noise is just sickening. It's just a splat. How is Ford not broken in 30,000 pieces? I do not know. We have literally moments to digest that as all of a sudden Kevin Owens hits a stunner on Garza and picks up the 3. We only have nano moments to digest that as Owens is getting back to his feet. Seth Rollins appears out of nowhere, boom, with the curb stomp and takes his leave. That is the only interaction physically that Rollins and Owens had in this match. We come back from the break and Kevin Owens is still in the ring. By the way, for that match, it's getting a B+ from me. I thought it was a really solid 6-man tag affair, and the Street Profits are really shining in the last couple of weeks. Something about these empty arena shows that it seems to be their thing. They come across so well in all of this. They really do. The match is a B+. We're back from the break, and there is Kevin Owens sat in the ring, like wounded, bruised after that match, and he says he's got some truth to spit about Seth Rollins. He talks about how Seth Rollins claims that he was the one that built the Performance Center, yet the truth is it was built despite him. Nobody liked him at FCW and nobody likes him now. He then talks about how his accomplishments mirror the accomplishments of Seth Rollins, how they've both won all these major titles, but the big thing is all those major titles have come with the help of other people. And Kevin Owens is very much in his own hubris here, as he says, even I'll admit, like, everything I won was with the help of somebody, with somebody having my back. And at least he's man enough to admit that more than Seth Rollins is. Owens ends saying on Saturday, the past doesn't matter for either of them, and it all comes down to them one-on-one. Kevin Owens says that Seth Rollins this weekend will not be a god. Kevin Owens will pick up the first win of WrestleMania for himself this weekend, and he says Kevin Owens will be the one to burn it down. This was an A. Kevin Owens on the mic. Chef's kiss. This was great. Just some real earthy discussion from Owens about Seth Rollins, and some hubris thrown in there as well, and just that nice little final build towards their match at WrestleMania 36. Owens was great. Tonight is a night of just phenomenal promo work, and that continues next as we go to the catacombs of the Performance Center, where Edge is sat alone. He talks about how Randy Orton called him a junkie. He says that we're all junkies. He harks back to being in the crowd at WrestleMania 6 when Hogan battled the Ultimate Warrior. He talks about what grit means as a wrestler, and it means pulling people up even when they don't deserve it. It means finding a way after 9 years to get back in the ring. He talks about how Randy Orton is constantly accused of not having passion and fire, and he even makes the point to say the only time you're passionate, the only time you're up for this is when I'm around. In fact, the last time you were this passionate about anything was 9 years ago. Oh, sick burn. Edge reminds Randy Orton that he has accepted a last man standing match against a man who dove headfirst into a flaming table with thumbtacks sticking out of every part of his body just to take what was handed to Randy Orton, and that is a piece of the spotlight. And from there, Edge stares straight down the barrel of the camera lens and says to Randy Orton, "You have dug yourself a hole, but this time I am not pulling you out. I'm going to push you so far down that you cannot get out." A+. My God. What are they drinking at the Performance Center this week? Like, this is some of the best promo work some of these guys have done in forever. And they're off the leash with it. This really feels, it feels so fresh. It all just feels so fresh. And I don't know whether it's because there's so much going on, nobody is stringently writing these promos and they haven't got time to script them verbatim. So they're like, could you just talk about this for 4 minutes? Could you just talk about that for 5 minutes? If that is the case, let's do that more often. A+ from Edge. Phenomenal promo work. I am gutted that Edge's big return isn't going to be in a packed out stadium with thousands and thousands and thousands of people chanting. I'm gutted for that, but I know we're going to get something special regardless of that this weekend. Asuka takes on Kayden Carter next. Asuka's on the mic very early on shouting, "Who is this? Who is this?" Pointing to Kayden Carter, shouting very aggressively in Japanese as well before blurting out, "No one is ready for Asuka." It almost seems like she tries to goad the crowd who isn't there. Asuka is a gift at the moment. Carter gets a quick jump on Asuka to start this match. She gets a couple of near falls in there, but this is Asuka's game this week. German suplex, kick to the side of the head, and the Asuka lock for the tap out victory. Asuka then gets on the microphone on the commentary test. She puts a headset on and she's shouting once again in Japanese, and she is getting pumped up for the women's tag team title match this weekend. It's her and Kairi Sane defending against Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss, and she's just great on the mic here. At one point Tom Phillips starts to talk and she just turns and goes, "Shut up." Oh gosh, Asuka's a gift. A real gift. And I'm giving this a B-. Another short, sharp match to showcase Asuka. But Kayden Carter had a good showing in this as well. I've been so happy to see NXT guys getting the opportunity to compete on Monday Night Raw through all of this. Kayden Carter is one of those on NXT that I really am enjoying the work of. So I'm glad that more people get to see her doing a thing on Monday night this week. That's cool. We get footage from earlier today of Rhea Ripley arriving at the Performance Center, and we see Charlotte boot her from behind, smacking her into the grilling next to the door, and suddenly all these agents and refs appear to look after Rhea Ripley. Charlotte says, "I'll see you at WrestleMania," gives her a big old woo and leaves, and then Rhea Ripley smiles back and says, "Yeah, you will. Yeah, you will." This is going to be a sleeper match of the weekend. It really is. Like, Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair are going to do something magic. So we then come to the final segment of the night, and it's Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. We've just watched Lesnar versus Rey Mysterio from Survivor Series, and now this is the Go Home segment on the Go Home Raw. We know this because Paul Heyman pulls back the curtain and tells us. He says this is the last segment that you'll see before WrestleMania, and he gives Drew McIntyre his due. And he says how Drew McIntyre is special compared to everybody in the locker room right now. But so was The Rock, so was Hulk Hogan, so was John Cena, so was Roman Reigns, all of which fell to Brock Lesnar. Paul Heyman then puts over the Claymore as a devastating move, but then he lists off a whole litany of big-time wrestling finishes, all moves that Brock Lesnar has either avoided or kicked out of. He says that at WrestleMania, either Brock Lesnar is going to avoid the Claymore or eat the Claymore, and then we'll find out how tough it is. Which I like, kind of gives the impression that Lesnar might kick out of the Claymore. That's the story that we're telling here, which is good. Paul Heyman makes the prediction, no, he makes the guarantee that next year's Go Home segment on the Go Home Raw will once again be Brock Lesnar, and they'll be reflecting on how they beat the special Drew McIntyre fugly. Says that Drew McIntyre will walk into WrestleMania as special, and he will leave as Brock Lesnar's female dog, like everybody else has in the past. Oh. Giving this an A, I wasn't entirely sure if I was going to give this an A at the start, I'll be honest, because it very much felt like the start of another Paul Heyman Brock Lesnar promo in an empty building. But Paul Heyman just has this magical power when it comes to orating that he makes it feel different every time, and bringing up the comparisons to some of the biggest names in wrestling and putting them in the realm of Drew McIntyre, not just doing that but putting the Claymore as a finisher in the realm of all these other finishers, just does so much good for Drew McIntyre going into this match. It feels like a foregone conclusion that Drew McIntyre is winning at WrestleMania, which is fine, but this was a great way to add that little bit of doubt with one final promo from Paul Heyman with Brock Lesnar stood there looking menacing all the way through. So I'm giving it an A. I'm giving Monday Night Raw this week an A overall. This was full of some of the best promo work I've seen in a good while. Like, there's some phenomenal work done straight to camera on this show that builds for this weekend. And you know what? It's been a really, really rough road to get to WrestleMania, and we will ask questions forever about whether this WrestleMania should have gone ahead in any shape or form. But what I do know right now is Raw put out an amazing go-home show that was full of passion and energy for WrestleMania weekend. And also, we can all breathe a sigh of relief, because whatever you feel about whether it should be happening or not, the oak tree on top of the hill is coming into view. It'll all be done soon enough. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.